Okay, very good. Thank you.
You should be all set now.
Thanks, Mark. Good morning, everybody. I'm Susan Petto, and welcome to our meeting of the City of Albany Industrial Development Agency Audit Committee. We will start by noting that all members of the committee are present with the exception of Bob Schofield. So I will be stepping in for him as chair of the audit committee for today. Daria Schoenvar is here as well as a member of the committee, and Lee Eck is here from the board. We also have staff members and representatives from Teal, Becker, and Tremonti. So we'll get right to work by calling for a motion to dispense with the minutes of the meeting of March 11th, 2021 of the audit committee, and also in the same resolution approving those minutes.
So moved.
I'll second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the minutes are approved. Any unfinished business for the audit committee today? If not, we'll move right into new business. We are here, first of all, to discuss the audit engagement letter that we have received a copy of from Teal, Becker, and Tremonti. We have with us today Emily and Nathan, who we've worked with before on these audits. Katie Duran will continue to be our audit partner. I believe this is her 5th year. So in following best practices, this will be her last year overseeing this audit for Teal, Becker, and Tremonti. And so we will turn this over then to Nate and Emily for further comment and details on the 2021 audit engagement letter.
Thanks, Susan. Good morning, everyone. So I wanted to go over a high-level overview of the engagement letter that you've received, and then just go over some specifics of the audit, such as timelines, staffing, accounting updates, and then discuss any questions or concerns that you may have. So with the engagement letter that you've received, this outlines our scope of services, which is the audit of the December 31st, 2021 financial statements, which will result in a report expressing our opinion on the financial statements. And additionally, in accordance with government auditing standards, we will also issue a report on our consideration of internal controls over financial reporting, but not for the purpose of expressing an opinion on those internal controls. So we'll take internal controls into consideration during our testing. We will also issue any required communications to you, which is the communication with those charged with governance letter. And this will allow us to communicate with you any significant issues, findings, or changes that occurred during the year. And then if necessary, we will also issue a management letter, which is really just recommendations that we might come across during the audit. Also in the engagement letter, it defines our responsibility as the auditors, which is to form an opinion on whether the financial statements are fairly presented in accordance with GAAP based on the results of our audit. Also, like I mentioned, we'll consider internal controls over financial reporting, and we will design audit procedures to test those as well, but we will not be issuing an opinion on internal controls. Our audit is a risk-based approach, so we'll be providing reasonable assurance about whether the financial statements are free from material error. Management's responsibilities are to adopt sound accounting policies, fairly present financial statements in accordance with GAAP, establish and maintain effective internal controls over financial reporting, and to design and implement programs and controls to prevent and detect fraud. Lastly, the audit committee responsibilities is the oversight of the financial reporting process and the internal controls over financial reporting, and the oversight of establishment and maintenance by management of controls to prevent and detect fraud. So that's a high level summary of everything that's included in the engagement letter. So when you've had time to review and approve that, we'll just need to receive the signed copy and then we can get started with the audit field work. A couple other things I wanted to highlight today was just our projected audit timeline. So typically we do some interim field work in December. So we were hoping to do that again this year. This just allows us to kind of get a head start on some of our audit testing. And then we will finish up December in 2022. So we could do this in your office or remote, whatever you're comfortable with. We're open to either. Again, this year, we will be coordinating all of the confirmations. So once we get the bond listing in early January, we'll make sure to send those confirmations out early. And our goal is to complete the field work in February or even early March. And we'll coordinate all of that timing with Mark. And again, we can do that remote or hybrid. Either is fine with us. And then we'll have the final reports filed no later than March 31st and make sure to have those ready for your March meeting for approval and for our discussion as well. So as Susan had mentioned, this will be Katie's 5th year. 2021 audit will be her 5th year. So we will certainly look into rotating to another shareholder next year and make sure those introductions and everything set up for the 2022 audit. There is one new government accounting standard this year, although we don't think this will impact you at all. It's related to fiduciary accounts, and there's another piece which is related to component units. So this will impact the city of Albany, but not you as the component unit of the city. So again, we don't anticipate that to have any effect on your statements. So the financial statements will be pretty comparable to last year. So at this time, I just wanted to see if anyone had any questions or concerns, anything new this year we should be made aware of, anything you'd like us to look into during the audit.
No.
I think
Standard
yeah, we've
figured you didn't
established a pretty good pattern for completing these in past years. And I think we're looking at a very similar sort of schedule.
Okay, great. Well, if any questions come up, feel free to email Nate or myself anytime. And again, you have that engagement letter for review and approval, and then we'll coordinate with Mark on getting some interim testing done and schedule the fieldwork for the audit.
Great.
We'll
I'd like
follow
to
up directly.
Great. I'd like to note that the fee for the audit remains the same as last year. As you'll see on page 6 of the engagement letter, it indicates that fee would be $7,200, which has been budgeted for. And the schedule for completion is very similar to what we've done in past years, so that we are producing these documents in time for the deadlines. Any other comments, questions, concerns? As always, I encourage members of the committee and members of the IDA, if they want to reach out to Emily or Nathan directly, feel free to do that. We want to make sure that we have the most accurate and useful audit that we can. So please feel free, if you are not comfortable discussing items during this meeting, to go directly to our auditors. All right, we do not need a motion on this. I assume this goes directly to the full board for information, or do we want a favorable recommendation from the committee to the board?
I think we typically do a favorable recommendation to the full board, and then the approval of the contract will go to the full board next week.
Okay, then I'll
So
take a
moved.
motion. Thank you, Darius. I'll second that. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
The 2021 audit engagement with Kilbecker Tremonti will be favorably recommended to the full board for our meeting next week. Thank you, Emily and Nathan. Next on the agenda is a review of the audit committee charter. That charter has been included in the packets which were previously distributed. Tom, did you want to go through and provide a little bit of background?
Sure.
Recommendations for updates?
Sure. It's just as part of the bylaws of the corporation and in accordance with best practices. We review the audit committee charter annually, and staff have reviewed it. There are no changes proposed, but we did want to, just as we do every year, kind of just discuss this with the committee and see if there's any suggestions for changing.
I thought it looked good. We've used it in past years successfully, and I didn't see any changes that were needed. Darius?
It's entirely adequate.
Okay. Very well then. Do we,
For this item, there's no motion that's required. It's just an annual review that we do, and same for the audit committee 2021 performance. That's just a review.
okay, very good. That's the last item under new business review, audit committee 2021 performance. Tom, any other comments on that item?
No, it's very similar to prior years. This is just a summary of, the frequency in which the audit committee met and some of the things that took place in 2021. Again, this is part of the charter, is to do this sort of self-evaluation every year, and is consistent with best practices.
Great. Okay, thank you. Any other new business to be considered today?
No.
Any other business? If
No.
none. Tom or Sarah, any agency updates or anything of the sort for the audit committee?
Not for the audit committee.
Okay, then we will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
The IDA Audit Committee